I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're diving into a gripping psychological thriller with Linda Manning, who writes under the pen name L.L. McCall. She has penned a powerful book. It is called Amiss. This intense novel explores the dark side of sibling rivalry as twin brothers, identical in appearance but vastly different in character, find themselves entangled in jealousy, deception, and betrayal, with shocking twists and a rivalry that escalates beyond mere competition. Amiss is a must-read for fans of psychological suspense and dark family dramas. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below the interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Linda, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is totally a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. The book's very original. I love the premise. Two brothers who look identical but are anything but identical.
Mhm.
How did you come up with that idea?
That's I get that question a lot. And actually it came to me, I know this sounds silly, but in a dream.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of just went on with it and just kept continuing on that and then trying to make them so different but look exactly the same that people couldn't tell them apart. But then to see their personalities come out and what they were capable of was just, something else that kind of took on a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, well, it
And
was original and it's gripping and it's believable because just because people are brothers doesn't mean that they're
yeah,
alike. I mean, there's many, many examples of that,
yeah,
famous examples of that
right.
as well. Look at Jimmy Carter, and he had a crazy brother, I think Roger Carter, and Bill Clinton had a crazy
Right,
brother.
yeah.
I think having a crazy
Clinton's,
brother that
yes.
looks alike but is
Hmm.
completely different can be par for the course. Are you the kind of person who writes down their dreams, keeps a notebook by the bed or something like that?
You know, I should, but I don't. I
Yeah.
don't, but I do that with my poetry. If I'm thinking, because I had a poetry book
Collection.
just recently published, and sometimes I'll do that. And I'll wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and just like text something to myself to go back to at a later time,
Yeah.
finish it up and kind of, fine tune it. But with stories, no, I just grab a notebook
Yeah.
and I start, whether it's a yellow legal pad or, one of those spiral notebooks, whatever I have handy,
Yeah.
I just, start writing an idea and then again, I'll go back to it, look at it to see if it makes sense. Sometimes
Hmm.
it doesn't. But, if it does, I go with it. I go,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. Um, let's give the folks at home an overview of the book. What's the story basically about?
Well, it is about like two brothers, like you said,
Mhm.
and being very close when they were growing up, and one would take the heat for the other one when the other one got in trouble,
Mhm.
and because you really couldn't tell them apart. So as they grew up, one became jealous of the other one while the other one didn't know it, and then started to harbor ill feelings. And then as they grew up and kind of went their separate ways, one became very successful
Mhm.
while the other one kind of didn't like that too much and he was very jealous. So he wanted what he had, and it kind of like morphed from that they became involved with each other later in life
Mhm.
and started to reconnect after the other one kind of went on his own way with the musical journey,
Mhm.
and the other one was more focused and really trying to better himself. And then he met the love of his life and
Mhm.
wanted to get married and provide and have a great future with her. And then the other one came back and kind of messed it all up for him. And that's basically the premise of them dealing with you know what they start going through. separately and together.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Great premises, I said before. Have you envisioned this as a film or a TV series or anything?
when I wrote it, yes, absolutely, absolutely, yep.
Yeah, it would be a great film, I think. And I think you've done the hard work, which is creating the
Mm.
story. So, Hollywood, if you're listening, this is a book that's ready to be translated into a film.
Yeah.
Who would star as the brothers?
Oh, wow, that's a good question.
I think you only need one actor because they are identical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, first of all, it would probably have to be one single person who would have to play the double role because
Right.
I don't think I could, find, twins. But
Exactly.
um, I had thought of Ian Summer Holder. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
He was in those vampire movies, though. Very handsome.
Okay.
Yeah, dark haired, blue eyed, you know, tall.
Gotcha.
Um, and I had first envisioned Reese Witherspoon's daughter as Carla,
Hmm.
that he later meets and falls in love with. Um, and I do have a list of characters of who I envisioned playing these roles, and there's just too many to list.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, speaking of talking about a movie and everything, um, I have a screenplay done and
Okay.
submitted.
Great. So
Yes,
you wrote a screenplay based on Amiss already?
yes.
Wonderful. That's great.
And
So you've
actually,
got
I did
two
a
big steps
second book.
done.
I did a
Yeah.
second book,
Okay. You got a
and that
sequel to
screenplay.
Amiss?
I'm sorry.
You have a sequel to Amiss?
Yes, I missed two,
Okay.
and that has a screenplay done on it.
Great. Okay. Well, you're the busiest woman in show business. That's great. That's excellent.
And I just
And
finished the third book, so yeah, I'm rolling.
okay.
Yeah,
So you've got the making of a series of films here or a TV
yes,
series or something because you've got now three books based on these brothers. I think that's
right.
great. So where does the second book take us?
Well, the second book, after all is said and done, what happened in the first book, learning how to cope with what happened with them, and they kind of fell apart and learned some truths and learned not so good truths,
Mhm.
and just to navigate their uh, relationship and try to
Mhm.
get through, what they did, what happened, what they encountered, and just, trying to find their way, meaning Carla and Paul, to
Mhm.
find their ways back to each other, having Peter in the mix and what happened in the first book with him, which I'm not going to go into
Sure. Don't
how
want to give, don't,
he,
no spoilers here.
but it wasn't hard uh, to write, but it's difficult for them, either one of them, to get over what happened with them.
Mhm.
I
Exactly.
know it's kind of like
No, no, no. There's you don't want to give away too much, but there's
yeah,
conflict there that needs to get resolved to the best of its ability, as
right,
well as a
yeah,
romance that needs to get rekindled. And yeah, that all
yeah.
sounds great. I think it's a natural, no doubt. Tell me about your writing career. When did you start writing?
Oh gosh, I've been writing since I'm 13.
Mm,
I used to play guitar and I used to write songs. Not that I had, the greatest voice, but I did have a nice voice.
mm,
And, there was an accident in 2012 where I kind of lost some control.
mm,
So I had a serious operation.
mm,
So that dream, I gave up and kind of went back to my creative part of it, of me, that I just still kept writing,
mm.
and I turned those songs into a poems book. And
Wonderful.
I actually have another one that I'm going to do as a second book for that, but I'm nowhere near that one right now. I'm just actually um, focusing on the third book right now to get that out and published, which might be by the end of March.
Mm,
But it's the continuing saga because I had such great reviews from the first book that I had to do a second,
mhm.
and then it kind of left everybody hanging So I had to do a third book. And now that I finished the third book, it's still a hanger.
Yeah,
So, I could just keep going on and thinking of stuff, to add. But
right.
eventually, hopefully, it will work out to, maybe, like you said, be a movie, which would be
Yeah,
awesome.
that'd be great. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. How was it writing the screenplay? Was it tough to whittle down the pages you've written into dialogue and action and scene and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to writing a screenplay because when you're writing a book, it's mostly in past tense.
Right.
Okay, so when you're writing a screenplay, it's current
Hmm.
as the action is happening and people are talking to one another.
Right.
So, kind of like taking that and then going to a whole new type of project is, I did the first screenplay, but then I had help with it because, I'm not familiar with doing, it's not my forte.
Right, right, right.
Wonderful woman helped me, and we really knocked it out of the park.
Good.
Very proud of it. Very proud.
Wonderful. Did you
Yeah.
work with someone in person or online?
Online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And she was wonderful. She was always there when I needed her. And, we really meshed.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the first group of people I had didn't work out. And they were kind of like putting things in there like I didn't write that. So, finding this one was like a dream come true.
Right,
And
because you followed your vision.
yes, and she followed my book, which was,
Right,
which meant a lot to me because I took a lot of time to do it,
right, right.
that it's like my heart and soul. You can't just put somebody in there who's divorced and married 5 times. Where did that come from?
That's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, she's a dream come true. Her name is Joyce, and she's the one who actually helped me with the second screenplay because,
Wonderful.
yeah, we really hit it off and we kind of like know what each other is thinking, and where
Hmm.
we're going with things.
Yeah,
And that's what happened. I mean, I wouldn't use anybody else at this point.
great. Was Amiss your first novel? I know you've written the poetry. Was this your first novel?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yes. I
now
mean,
it's
I have
taken on a
about,
life of its own.
yeah, I have about 13 children's books, 12 or 13. And those are under L.L. Manning, which is
Hmm.
my maiden name, but the L.L. McCall is the
Pen
uh,
name for this book.
pen name for that
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so this is my first attempt. I had it aside for, I don't know, maybe 10 years.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
figured,
A
you know
lot of
what?
stuff, a lot of good stuff sits in a drawer. I've
Oh,
got
yeah.
stuff sitting in a drawer, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Who's your first reader when you write a book or write a chapter? Who do you give it to read?
Um, I would say my friend Linda,
Hmm.
another Linda. Yes. Yeah. She's
Sounds
great
good.
because she
Okay.
used to be a teacher, an English
Okay.
teacher. Yeah. She's
Gotcha.
wonderful. Yes.
Gotcha. Is this writing for you kind of a retirement hobby or something? Or tell us a little bit.
Well, I am kind of like semi-retired. Um, I still do real estate.
Hmm.
Real estate professional, and you know, during the winter when it's kind of slow for me, I tend to pick up my pen and write. But no, I'm not retiring anytime soon.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, retiring's overrated, doing nothing's overrated. And if you got
Yeah,
a job that you can still be vital at, do it. Yeah, without a
right.
doubt. Without a doubt. I was just curious about how your life worked as far as writing goes, but I'm sure as a realtor, you have a lot of time, to develop projects like
Well,
this.
yes,
Is
I make
great.
my own appointments, and they fluctuate, so I do have that, advantage. And then, unfortunately, it's I stay up late, too late,
Yeah,
because that's when I can think.
right, right,
Uh,
exactly.
but yeah,
Exactly. Are the brothers based on real people at all?
no,
Anybody you know? No, not all. Completely
no,
imaginary.
no, no.
Okay.
But I do take pieces of personalities from people that I've, met over the years, and I'm very intrigued with people and how they react, and how they, um how can I say, just in general, when they're in conversation, or what they're like, and basically, I just take it from, sometimes people on TV, or even just, personalities from that, and motives, and like, I don't know, I'm getting off track here,
Oh,
but
no, no, I understand.
it's like a mix.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Was there a favorite scene or chapter or passage in the book that when you created, you're like, wow, I really like how that turned out?
Uh, there were a few. Yeah, I think actually in the beginning, when they first met, and she had those uncontrollable butterflies, because we've all been there.
Yep.
We know that feeling, and I want it to be relatable. So I feel that, young love is something that we never forget.
Hmm.
So I kind of like that scene in the beginning, and it kind of just like took off from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how we don't forget our first loves. There's something
Right,
so magical about that, right?
right, right, right.
Why do you think that is, that that's the one you generally remember the most? Is it because it's the first and it's new?
Well, yes, I think that because it's new, yes. And there are feelings that you've never felt before.
Hmm.
So it's really eye-opening,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
You're in love and you don't even know what's happening to you. You're like, why do I feel so happy all the time? Well, that's right. I'm in
yes,
love. Although
yes,
I barely know the person. They waved
right.
to me the other day and that's it. Yeah.
That could happen. Yeah. You just feel
Ex-
that connection right away. And then it's like, you've never been happier.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Definitely a magical time. Tell me about your poetry. What type of subjects do you talk about in your poetry or write about in your poetry?
Um, Most of them are, love feelings, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, we all, I'm sure, at some point or another broke up with somebody or
Hmm.
fell in love with somebody. And, these are just people feeling feelings. And,
Hmm.
I just go with it. And sometimes they're in rhyme and sometimes they're not.
Hmm.
But I find that, like the Christmas poems, there's a few in there, holiday poems for other,
Hmm.
yeah, I just, I try to be very relatable. That's
Hmm.
my thing. I try to be very genuine, and I try to have people understand,
Hmm.
like, they're not the only ones going through whatever they're going through,
Exactly.
you
That
know?
it's a shared experience, that other
Yeah.
people have had broken hearts, other people
Mhm.
have, you know, and
And
that,
it's not the end all,
yeah,
and I try to build them up too in my poetry,
yeah.
so it's, an array of
Mhm.
different ones, but
How many collections of poetry do you have published?
oh, well, I just have that one book where I have all of my poems since
Mhm.
I'm 13,
Wow.
and I put them all together. I finally organized them. And then I have a second book that were actually one of my songs that I wrote. So I'm going to do another collection there and just take out the chorus,
Gotcha.
because there's choruses throughout. So I will just take out, the extra chorus lines.
Right.
But because I'm not playing guitar anymore, it's buried in my closet. I mean, I
That's
could still
great.
probably play. I mean, one of
Right.
the first songs I learned was Stairway to Heaven. Oh my God. And I was teaching my niece and my nephew, but they could probably play it really good now, but I can't
That's
because,
funny. I think that's what everybody learned as their first couple of chords were Stairway to Heaven.
yeah,
Is
right.
that dun, 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 dun? Is that
No,
it?
that's,
Smoke on the Water.
yes, Smoke on the
Okay, that was
Water.
the
That
other
was,
one that everybody learned
yeah,
at that age.
yes.
Amazing. What are the names of your collections of poetry?
The book is Poems of Love, Hope, oh my God, I can't even remember the poems book. Do I have one here? Yeah. Poems of hope, joy, and love.
That's great. Wonderful. That covers a lot of emotions, that's for sure.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah,
sure. And so tell me about your children's books. You've written about a dozen or more, you say. Tell us about
yes.
those. And when did you start writing those?
2010.
Hmm.
Yeah. I just was playing with it, and I actually did my first drawing as I was sitting here playing. And this was the cover of my first book.
Okay, hold it up a little higher so we can see. Fuzz. Cute.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
And it wasn't that great, but the story inside was nice.
What's the story of Fuzz? Tell us about that.
Oh gosh, it was about a little bear that just would not sit still, and the mother was constantly looking for him, and of course watching over him, that he would stay out of trouble, and that was practically impossible. But I have written, like I said, about a dozen, and the last couple of ones, Louie and Lucy, are about two lion cubs, and they get into all kinds of mischief, and it always comes down to mom's always right. And
Exactly. Well, that's a good lesson for children to learn, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy, and the uh the illustrations came out beautiful. I wish I had a
Mhm.
few to show you. If I had known, I would have. uh
That's okay.
yeah.
So most of your characters in your children's books are animals, I presume, huh?
Yes, I
Yeah.
happen to be a big animal lover.
Yeah. Great,
I
great.
should stop saying. Oh God,
What's that?
I keep saying that.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Hmm.
In Amiss, is there a lesson for readers? Is there a moral to the story?
Well, you know, I guess that old adage that love conquers all.
Mhm.
And,
Is it
we,
true or not true?
hmm, it depends on who you're asking.
Right.
But I just feel like, we all go through so much in life, so many trials and tribulations, that,
Mm.
what we learn, and the lessons that we take with us, uh, just makes us a better person, you
Mm.
know, and it gives us the experience too. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not trying to be a prophet or anything, but I'm just saying that, as you get older, you learn to appreciate, and you don't
Mm.
want drama.
Mm.
You're old enough to know that games are games.
Right.
Nah, you just try to live the best life that you can.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The theme of jealousy leading to obsession is central to your plot.
Mhm.
Why do you think this makes such a compelling concept in storytelling, jealousy and obsession?
Well, jealousy is one of the strongest feelings, I think, when it comes to a relationship, especially
Yeah.
when you care about the person, and you just can't handle it sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's
And it's also probably one of the most destructive um,
yes,
elements of a relationship.
right.
If there's true jealousy of
Mhm.
the attention of others or whatever it might be,
Mhm.
I mean, that's a poison pill, don't you think?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and love can hurt just as much too.
Yeah.
You I mean, even people, I don't even like to say this, but when they say they hate somebody, that's not in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
They don't like them, they don't care for them. That's better use of the words, but
Yeah.
that can be a very, very strong feeling too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, jealousy and hate, I think, are pretty closely related.
Yeah, they're kind of,
They're
yeah,
cousins. Yeah,
they're
they're
cousins.
kissing cousins, I think,
Yes,
without a
yes,
doubt. You're getting very,
yeah.
very close to hate when jealousy is involved and
Mm,
rage and all of the other bad things.
right.
The novel explores not just rivalry, but also betrayal within a family. Talk
Mhm.
to us a little bit about that aspect. And it seems to be an aspect of a lot of families that there's betrayal. I think you have to be close to someone in order to be betrayed, right? So it's either going to be a family setting or a love setting, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, you would feel it that much more if it's
Hmm.
somebody that you felt that would never betray you
Right.
and that you really truly love and
Yeah.
never thought it would even, enter their minds to betray you.
Yeah.
And these are people that you would hopefully or had trust in. And for that to happen, it definitely hurts
Yeah.
100 times more
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
especially not expecting it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's probably one of the most awful feelings that anybody could
Mhm.
suffer through is the feeling of being betrayed. Because,
Right,
like you said, for there to be true betrayal, there has to be trust first.
right.
So with that trust being broken, which is an investment of your energy, time, concern, and heart,
Yeah, right,
it's a terrible, terrible thing,
right.
no doubt. Tell me what the writing process is like. You say you get a yellow pad or a spiral. You write it out all longhand first and then put it in the word
Yes,
processor?
everything on in longhand, and then I will email it to myself.
Hmm.
After I've actually what I do, I know this is strange, but I'll open up my, Hotmail. I use Hotmail, and I start talking
Yeah.
in an email to myself.
So you'll dictate an email to
So
yourself.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I'll do. And then I'll, not send it to myself. I'll save it in my drafts so I can keep going back to it.
Yeah.
And like the same thing with my editor. I have someone who helps me edit. And
Hmm.
sometimes she gets a little too much,
Yeah.
but I still go back to what I wrote and I take bits and pieces of what she wrote. And with that, I kind of do the side by side draft and Word document of what I had sent her and she sent back to me. And it's a process. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot of steps.
Exactly.
I've got it down so pat that it doesn't bother me
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's
it's how you
fine.
work. A lot of
But
people like to write it out longhand. There are people who still use typewriters.
mhm,
I dictate a lot of stuff as well because I like that because
mhm,
I like my writing to be very conversational. And
mhm,
also it's much less laborious than hitting the keys, to just say,
right.
okay, she walks into a bar. She's everything I ever dreamed
Yeah.
of. But then
Yeah.
life.
Right. And that's what I do. After I write it longhand, I might do points and say, bring this up, and then expand on it when I email it to myself. And then I, have it in my drafts, and then I expand on it there. And then when I feel I'm done, I send it to myself.
Right.
And of course, I look at it like 3 or 4 times, and then edit, correct, and I'm pretty good with the grammar and everything. And I sometimes need my editor to look at it because I need an extra pair of eyes
Yeah.
because I've been looking at it for so long.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Everybody needs an extra pair of eyes, an extra pair of ears. Absolutely helpful to have somebody listen to and
yes.
look at your work without a doubt.
Yeah.
The name of the book we've been exploring today is called Amiss. It is an intense novel that explores the dark side of sibling rivalry as twin brothers, identical in appearance but vastly different in character, find themselves entangled in jealousy, deception, and betrayal. With shocking twists and a rivalry that escalates beyond mere competition, Amiss is a must-read for fans of psychological suspense and dark family dramas and anybody looking for a great read. Linda, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And I really enjoyed speaking with you. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. Love to talk to you when your next book out. Looking forward to it.
All
To the
right.
folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.